On 7 October 2023, approximately 1,200 Israeli nationals were murdered in dastardly terrorist attacks by Hamas, and hundreds others were taken hostage. Tragically, as Ambassador Azar said, more Jews were killed on that day than on any other single day since the Holocaust. India is unfortunately all too familiar with such mindless brutality. Having been a victim of cross-border terrorism ourselves, we empathize immediately with those who undergo the same tragedy. This is why we not only condemned this horrific terrorist attack and hostage-taking, but also our Prime Minister clearly stated that India stands with the people of Israel in the fight against terrorism. Terrorism has to be condemned in all its forms and manifestations, and there can be no justification for acts of terror whatsoever or wherever. I stand before you all this morning with a deep sense of responsibility as we gather today to commemorate International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Thank you for this privilege to join you on this solemn occasion. We gather today in reverence and remembrance, not merely to recall one of the darkest chapters in human history, but more importantly, to learn its lessons. The Holocaust did not begin with the extinguishing of life. It began with words. Words of hatred, words of dehumanization, words of exclusion. It began when prejudice was normalized, when discrimination was institutionalized, and when silence replaced conscience. Today, we stand here because memory is resistance. We must remember the victims, not only for the tragedy that they endured, but also as a commitment to ensure that such crimes against humanity never occur again. These acts of remembrance are acts of moral courage and ensure that never again is not merely a slogan, but equally a solemn responsibility. On this occasion, we also pay tribute to the survivors who endured unimaginable suffering, yet chose life and chose resilience. As time passes, and as was pointed out, as fewer survivors remain among us, the responsibility of memory passes fully upon us. To remember accurately, to teach honestly, and to stand firmly against denial, distortion, or trivialization of the event. Dear friends, as we remember the past, so also we must contemplate the present and the future. This is all the more important as events of the last 2.5 years have shown us. On 7 October 2023, approximately 1,200 Israeli nationals were murdered in dastardly terrorist attacks by Hamas, and hundreds others were taken hostage. Tragically, as Ambassador Azhar said, more Jews were killed on that day than on any other single day since the Holocaust. India is unfortunately all too familiar with such mindless brutality. Having been a victim of cross-border terrorism ourselves, we empathize immediately with those who undergo the same tragedy. This is why we not only condemned this horrific terrorist attack and hostage-taking, but also our Prime Minister clearly stated that India stands with the people of Israel in the fight against terrorism. Terrorism has to be condemned in all its forms and manifestations, and there can be no justification for acts of terror whatsoever or wherever. India has also consistently supported all genuine efforts aimed at achieving peace and stability in West Asia. In this regard, the Gaza Peace Plan provides a viable pathway to long-term and sustainable peace in the region. We have welcomed this, and we are happy to see the progress made recently under this plan. The ceasefire and the release of hostages have brought immense relief as hostages are reunited with their families. And these families that have suffered so much over the last 2 years are moving towards some sort of closure. We earnestly hope that these efforts will evolve into concrete and lasting actions, paving the way for a peaceful and durable resolution to conflicts in the region. Excellencies, distinguished guests, the Holocaust Remembrance goes beyond mere reflection on the past. It stands as a moral duty for present and future generations on the values of pluralism, tolerance, and respect for human dignity. I am extremely proud that India, as an ancient civilization and a modern democracy, draws strength from these very same values. Our Constitution enshrines equality, freedom of belief, and the inviolable worth of every individual. Far from being abstract ideals, these are lessons reinforced by our history, by our culture. It is for this reason that India has long been a land where persecuted communities have found refuge with dignity. Guided by the ancient ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, and Sarva Dharma Sambhav, respect for all religions, India has always stood in eternal solidarity with the Jewish people. Not only through history, but even during the darkest hours of World War II, when doors closed around the world, India opened its heart. There are several examples, and I am extremely happy that we honored the legacy of one such person last year, the Maharaja of Navanagar, with unveiling his statue in Moshe Nevatem in Israel. India has also long been home to diverse and ancient Jewish communities like the Bene Israelis, the Kochini Jews, the Baghdadi Jews, and the Bnei Menashe. These communities have not only preserved their unique identities, but have also enormously enriched India's social and cultural fabric. These deep-rooted historical ties have, over time, evolved into robust strategic partnership between India and Israel. Today, as proud partners in progress, we are building bridges in multiple areas and using our shared democratic values as we remember from ashes, resistance and resilience rises. Dear friends, let us today strengthen our resolve to build societies anchored in empathy, justice and truth. Let the memory of the Holocaust victims inspire us to safeguard human dignity everywhere without exception.